Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Elita-1 from the Transformers Legacy line from Hasbro. So getting back to finishing up these Wave 2 Deluxes here, we have Elita-1 in the open packaging. So we can see her right inside here. Nice artwork of the car here on the front. Over here on the side we have some nice artwork for Elita-1. Looks pretty good. And then over here on this side we have the kind of standard Autobot picture that we have on the side of all the Legacy packaging. Not really too much going on the bottom or the top. Spinning it around to the back, we have the robot mode, we have the vehicle mode, we have a little QR code here for the tech specs. Pretty standard packaging. I'm going to go ahead and get her out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. Here is Elita-1 out of the packaging. Robot mode looks pretty good. We'll say she does have a bit of a backpack here, but nothing major. Doesn't really get in the way of most articulation. I will say she does feel kind of small, even for a Deluxe. Just for a comparison here is Lift Ticket. And I know he's kind of a bulkier Deluxe, but she just feels kind of really small by comparison. So, not that it's a huge problem, but just something to take note of. Color scheme looks pretty good. You have kind of a reddish maroon. Then you have the pink and the white, I think all work really well. The head sculpt, I think, looks really great. Really nicely done there. Nice paint applications, nice blue eyes there. A little bit of yellow here on the head crest. Nice Autobot symbol there on the chest. Now, she has these two kind of like pauldrons up here on the shoulders. This mold is eventually coming to us as Minerva, aka Nightbeat, and I believe that's done to more kind of simulate the look of the robot mode for that character. If you want, you can kind of lift this up and swing these down and kind of put them into their transformed state. You can see we're kind of forming the hood of the car here. And then you can kind of tuck this back down, kind of similar to how we do with like Wild Rider, where we tuck that part back in to just kind of give him the hood of the car as a backpack. So if you like that better, that is an option. And that kind of compacts that a little bit more and gives her kind of more of a traditional G1 look. So I can't really decide myself which one I like better. I kind of like both. Maybe for the rest of this, I'll just kind of leave it in this configuration. But I do think both look pretty good. Head sculpt, we talked about. Let's see, head articulation. We have a ball joint here, so you can look down. Can't really look up all that much. Can look side to side. Can't really tilt side to side all that much. We have a swivel here in the shoulder, as well as a hinge. We have a bicep swivel. We have 90 degrees there in the elbow. You have a wrist swivel. You have a waist swivel, which will be utilized for transformation. In the hip, you can kind of kick out to the side about that far and kick pretty far forward. Kick decently far back. You have a thigh swivel there, and it kind of looks like this should be kind of more out to the side, but it is kind of meant to face more forward like that. You can tell just be kind of how the toe faces forward. You do have 90-degree bend there in the knee. Now, something to be a little wary of for transformation, this is going to come apart like this, so if you want to give her like a really weird knee joint, you kind of can, but this is supposed to click into place, and then this closes back up to kind of keep the leg together. You do have an ankle tilt, but it's kind of like you have to click this. You can see how it's kind of tight to unclick it, so it kind of either wants to be there or there, and not really like at the 45-degree angle I would want it at. So you can still use it as an ankle tilt, but it's just not as successful because it kind of has those ratchets to it. But she doesn't really have trouble standing. So I think it works. She does come with a couple of accessories. We have two of these translucent blue guns. I believe they are exactly... No, I'm wrong. They are completely different. They are completely different. So that's kind of cool. I do appreciate that. They're both done in this translucent blue plastic. And they fit into the hands very nicely. So she's definitely packing some firepower. Now you also get this little piece, which I guess is meant to mimic like the top of her head. And you're supposed to peg that in here so that it looks like the top of the head is sticking out of the vehicle mode. I don't really get that. Maybe it has to do with how her vehicle mode looked in the cartoon. I'd have to go back and look. But I don't really get the point of that. But the nice thing is, if you don't like it, you don't have to use it at all. I'll leave it there for now until we get through transformation, just because, you know, you're supposed to. But I don't know. That little piece doesn't really do anything for me. I don't really need it. But ultimately, I think the robot mode looks pretty good. Nice paint applications, nice detail, head sculpt's good. I like the accessories. I don't need them to be in the translucent blue. I think this is kind of the last breaths of the Energon gimmick that they tried to use. I think going forward they kind of phased that out because people just didn't really care about that. We just want good figures. We don't need Energon gimmicks, but they always kind of feel like they have to give you some kind of gimmick for the line. But yeah, like I said, you can have this in either mode with these up or these down. I think both look good, so whatever your preference. But yeah, overall, I think the robot mode's pretty great. Transformation is pretty straightforward here. We're going to start by rotating the waist 180 degrees and just kind of straightening out the legs. If you don't have these pieces already folded down, go ahead and do that now. And then we are going to fold this out like so. And then we can come underneath here, and there's another piece underneath that needs to fold out. It can be a little tricky to get to. And one thing I didn't really talk about, there is a tab here that's kind of supposed to tab in to this tab slot, and you're probably never going to be able to see this, but if I can zoom in, there is a tab slot right there, right underneath the hinge. And I think that's supposed to tab into that for robot mode for stability. It doesn't really need it, and honestly, it's kind of impossible to get it in there, so it's a good thing it doesn't really need it, but I think that is supposed to work like that. We're going to take the forearms and we're going to rotate them in 90 degrees, and then we're going to bring this down like so, and then you can see that there are these little tabs right here, and they're going to go on the inside of the forearm, so we're going to kind of bend this out. Actually, I have this wrong. This sits like this. And then you want to clip these onto those clips like so. There you go, like that. Do the same thing over here. And then the top of this section here is going to tab onto this little tab right here. So we'll tab that all in. And you can see that's kind of the whole front of the car mode at this point, so lift that back up. We're going to flip out these little panels on the inside of the legs, like this. Flip that around. Then we're going to peg the two legs together, right there. And then we're going to flip out those pieces I talked about earlier. That's going to flip out to the side. You want to bring this up. So this little tab is going to peg in here. And then there's a tab here that's going to peg in right there. So we're just going to bring these up and kind of naturally. Now this can be a little difficult because you kind of have to push this part up, but keep this part here. So just kind of do something like that. And then bring this up. That's going to tab in there. And then just kind of line that all up. And then the last step is to just take these feet and just fold them down like so. And that's pretty much it. That is the vehicle mode for Elita-1. Let me change the camera here. So like I said, I don't get this piece. I don't really know why it's here. I certainly don't need it. I don't really think it's an homage to the original vehicle mode because I don't remember even seeing her transform in the original cartoon. I'm just going to take it off because I think it's kind of dumb. But it is there, so if you want to utilize it, you can. It's a goofy little vehicle mode. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of that car that Homer designed on The Simpsons. That looked kind of a mess. But it's like a little dune buggy. Honestly, it's not too bad. Things I don't like, there's an obvious like seam gap right here. It almost seems like the way that this is kind of beveled, that this was like supposed to come up and go over top of this to be seamless with the hood of the car. Now, it's obviously not supposed to happen because we have these little rear view mirrors, but I wish we didn't. I wish they would just go away and then this could come up and kind of be seamless with the hood there. It would make it seem more cohesive and there wouldn't be like that gap there. The translucent windshield here I think looks pretty good. I kind of like the back of the car. The back of the car here reminds me of Lightspeed, the Technobot. You kind of have that red section with the wheel and the spoiler. So that's kind of reminding me of Lightspeed there. Obviously, then you have these big magenta feet just hanging off the back. So not that so much, but this section kind of right here with the windshield into this is reminding me of Lightspeed. But it's okay. I mean, like I said, we're going to see this again as Minerva, aka Nightbeat. I think they're going to remolded a little bit. I don't think the vehicle mode is going to look exactly like this. And I know some people have found her already, but I've only seen 1 or 2 pics, so I don't remember offhand if the vehicle mode is exactly the same. But for some reason, I'm thinking it's slightly different. But yeah, it's a goofy, fun little vehicle mode. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's okay. Color scheme pretty much carries over. You have the pink, the maroon, and the white. So that's pretty much similar. Underneath, you can see the head right there. Pretty much the entire chest, the legs, the arms that she's kind of just pushing out to the side there. So not really hiding the robot mode too well. I wouldn't really call it a shell former, because like the legs really integrate into robot mode, but the rest just, I mean, the arms are kind of just forming the sides of the vehicle as well, but most of this is kind of a backpack, so it's kind of in the middle. You can store the weapons here on the side if you would like. You have a couple spots around to do so. Oh, I guess this one this one doesn't have any pegs on the side, so you'd have to do something like that. Or you can peg them into each other. Of course, do some kind of double blaster like that. Or you could put the other one on top here if you like, if you take that piece out. So you have a lot of options, as you can see. She's got a lot of spots all around to peg things in. But yeah, it's kind of a goofy little vehicle mode, but it's growing on me. Like I said, I don't love it, I don't hate it, but I think it's growing on me. I do kind of wish that there was an Autobot symbol here on the hood of the car. Minor nitpick, but I do kind of wish there was an Autobot symbol there on the hood. I think Elita-1 is fine. She's not great, she's not terrible, very middle of the road. I think for the most part that the robot mode works. I think it's nice having some of the car parts actually integrated into the robot mode, so she's not a complete ridiculous shell former, and that backpack is fairly manageable. I like that these pieces here on the shoulders can be up or down, kind of like with Wild Rider, so you have some options there for the aesthetic. I think the head sculpt looks really good. I think the paint scheme works. I think the paint applications are pretty nice. Articulation-wise, she's pretty good. The transformation into the car mode is fairly simplistic, really not too difficult, and you do have kind of a shell formery look where you can see most of the robot mode underneath when you're done, but it's really not too bad. The car mode itself is okay, kind of like a little dune buggy-ish. Definitely getting some Lightspeed, the Technobot Lightspeed vibes from the back of it. Like I said, we are going to see this again as Minerva, which is kind of starting to pop up various places. So, like I said, I think this mold was definitely made with Minerva in mind, and then they thought, what else can we do with it? But it's okay. I think it's definitely one of the better Elita-1 figures that we've gotten recently. Like I said, it's not a ridiculous shell former. It's not a giant clunky jet mess like with Power of the Primes. Kind of a nice middle ground here, and I think she works for that reason. I think it's not too bad. That little piece that you're supposed to put on the top of the car mode to kind of simulate the top of her head, I don't really get that. Like I said, maybe that has something to do with the nod to the vehicle mode in the cartoon. I just don't really remember off the top of my head, and please feel free to let me know in the comments below. But I just don't get it. I don't need it. I just kind of put it off to the side, and I use that spot to put one of the guns. Yeah, I don't really get what purpose having a little top of her head poking out of the roof in vehicle mode. It will be one thing if it was needed for the transformation, because that's where her head was stored in transformation, but it's just a completely superfluous piece, and so I don't get it. But like I said, the nice thing is you can just put it off to the side and forget about it if you don't like it, so that's probably what I will do. But like I said, she's okay. I mean, do you need her for your collection? That's going to be up to you. Like I said, I do think she's one of the better Elita-1 figures we've gotten recently. But if you're really just going to wait and get this mold as Minerva, I get it. That's a character we really don't get very often. So get one version of this mold, maybe hold out for Minerva. But if you're a completionist, I don't think you'll be unhappy adding her to your ranks. Honestly, I think she's been on sale on Amazon a lot recently. They've been doing that kind of crazy coupon bonanza where everything is like slightly reduced and then there's a coupon to take even more off right away. So if you're in the market for this one, check Amazon, because I think they've been pretty much on sale a lot recently. So, like I said, add her to your collection if you like, skip her if you like. I don't think she's a must-have, but I think she's perfectly fine. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.